Hi, I'm Steffanie Rivers, and I want justice. The police officers involved showed reckless disregard. Hi, and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. Come on into the conversation for this late night. It's not late night conversation, but a little later than usual. It's been a busy day. I'm sure it's been busy for you as well, but I always have time to stop through. You're listening and watching me. I'm Steffanie Rivers. I'm broadcasting, multicasting on several platforms, including Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn. So on whatever channel you're watching, we want to welcome you to the conversation. And if you are new, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I know you're going to like something, and I'm going to ask you to please give me the thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you will be the first to know. So this evening, we're talking about that Spirit Airlines employee who got into a fight with a would-be passenger at DFW Airport last Thursday. And we're going to talk about that suspension. People are divided in their opinion about the incident. The airport where the incident happened on the same Thursday, where someone broke into the FBI headquarters or the FBI field office in Cincinnati, and shots were fired. And it's also the same day that it was revealed that why there was a search warrant into Mar-a-Lago and President Trump's residence. So there was a lot going on. So you might have missed this story and missed that video. And I'm focusing on it today because it's a coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of story. It could have been avoided. It should have been avoided. And it would have been avoided if the Spirit Airlines employee would have recognized his power in the moment, but he didn't. And now he could be without a job over a BS argument with a customer. So I'm about to show you the video, and I want to warn you that it does include a bit of violence that could be traumatic for the faint at heart. So be aware of that. And I'll even show you this brief warning so that you can't say that you didn't know. But I am going to be able to show you this because of the 1976 law that says I'm able to show you this video. It's in the public domain for the sake of discussing it and critiquing it. And so that's what we are going to do. So let me get that video ready.
You haven't lost your mind. Don't touch me ever in your life. You touched me first, and then you got in my face. Don't ever invade my personal space.
Get out of my face!
No, I'm not. I'm here. I'm here.
I'm here.
Me again.
You're
Again.
out of
You're
my
touching
face!
me again.
It's all
You're
on
touching
camera,
me. It
sweetheart.
surely is.
You touched
It
me.
surely, but you in
You're
my
your
personal
ugly
space.
ass.
You're in my personal
Out of my
space.
face.
You're in my personal space. Stay out of my personal space. She's touching me. She's touching me. And I'm don't put she can't put her hands on me. Oh, wait.
Okay, stop it! Hey, hey!
now. Don't you ever put your hands on me. No. Everybody, back up from me.
All right, so that is the video, and of course, you can feel free to watch it. It is on YouTube, but we are, hold on, let me stop. I don't know if you're hearing that or not, but so the video starts off with the employee and the woman all up in each other's face and all up in each other's personal space. And we don't know why they were arguing, but I can surmise that it had something to do with her that she was trying to get on the flight or having something to do with the flight simply because she was at the airport and he looked to be in management with the airlines. And if he was not in management, in a management position, he would have had on a uniform and he would not have been carrying that radio. So the fact that he had on street clothes, business attire, and had a radio tells me that he was a member of management. So whatever the argument was about, there would have been no need for him to get loud or to become verbally combative with her. Why not? Well, because he's in an authoritative position, and if he made a decision that that customer didn't like, there's not a lot she could have done about it in the moment except to start screaming and hollering and becoming belligerent like she did. So she, it seems that that seems to be what was going on. And I have reached out to the employee, and he has declined to give a comment, and I'll tell you why probably later. But it seems like this customer escalated the situation, but it was on him to de-escalate the situation, and he didn't do that. And in fact, his company, they put out a statement, and I'm going to read that statement to you, which essentially says Spirit Airlines and the DFW airport, they said that they are aware of the altercation between the agent and the passenger. So because they're calling him an agent, that tells me he was an agent supervisor. So he was, so something went down between this customer and the agent, the person who takes your ticket for you to get on the flight. And apparently that agent called the supervisor, and that's why the supervisor was the guy who was on the scene. So it says they are aware of the altercation between the agent and the passenger. They added that the vendor, which in this case is the airline at DFW, has suspended the agent supervisor. Spirit Airlines does not tolerate violence of any kind, and we are working with local law enforcement to investigate this matter. And that's what the statement is saying. So yeah, this guy has been suspended. Now, instead of it getting to this level of an altercation, they both got loud. They both got in each other's face. They both invaded each other's personal space. But what he should have done was, in that moment, he should have realized his power in the moment and walked away from her and called airport security to escort her out of the secured area. And that would have been the end of story. There would have been no fight, and he would have still had his job. But when he didn't de-escalate and continue to meet her aggression with aggression, and she thought that she was protected because there was another person that stepped in between them to separate them, and then she sucker slapped him. And then that's when he went off. He like snapped on her like it was a football drill, and he was Aaron Donald, and he started pushing people out the way and clipped her like she was a quarterback with the football trying to get to the end zone. And then he punched her in her face. And then that's when people jumped in. You saw the video. So I understand why this man went off on her. I understand it, because she thought because she was a woman that she could berate him and talk about his physical appearance and then slap him and he wouldn't do anything about it. And she thought she could provoke that bear and poke that bear, and she saw what happened when you do that. And so people, it's kind of like what Cat Williams said in one of his stand-ups, that when he talked about that time when there was somebody who jumped into the lion's den at the zoo, and they got mauled by the lion, and everybody got mad at the lion. But that's what lions do when you get in the wrong position with the lion. And so I think that this employee didn't realize his power in the moment, not to necessarily overpower the woman and beat her up, which, some say that she deserved it because of what she did, but because of the, traditional standards of men not hitting a woman, that put him in a position to be looked at as the villain, even though clearly she was wrong to slap him. Okay, but you have to again remember your power. And although I don't know what this woman was thinking in the moment, the way she ridiculed him and talked about his physique and talked about him, I think she called him, thought I heard the N-word, I'm not sure, but she just went off and loud talking him and berated him. It made me think that she believed the narrative that there are only two types of black men. One, there's the ghetto type dude that she wouldn't dare do nothing like that to, and she would be scared to approach that person. And then there's the other type where they're overly domesticated and they're weak and incapable of defending themselves. I think that's what she thought. This is a type of dude who he's not going to defend himself. I can talk about him any kind of way. And then when somebody else stepped in between them, she thought, okay, and I can even slap him and get away with it, because those are the two types of black men that society wants people at large to believe those are the only two that exist. They believe that a black man is either one of those two people. But here's what I believe. I believe that a black man will be who he needs to be when he needs to be that person. And in that moment, this guy felt belittled and berated and attacked, and he struck back. And you can't blame a person for feeling that way, especially when you see why they felt that way. But at the same time, we have power in how we handle situations. And even though it might sound like or feel like we are letting someone get the upper hand on us, you can't always be so emotional about things that you give away your power. He gave away his power to this woman, this irate woman, and in the end, he ends up losing his job, or at least being suspended from his job. And nobody can afford to be without money. And I just think that in the moment, he should have realized that he was the authority, and whatever he had decided, whether or not she raised her voice, it still was his decision to make. That reminds me, there was, I also work at the airport, and there was an incident that happened, let's say a year ago, and things can get frustrating at the airport. For example, I was scheduled to work a flight, and by the time I got to the airport and was walking to the gate, the flight had changed. The gate where it was going out of had changed like 3 times in like 2 or 3 different terminals. And the terminals are like not next door to each other. It's going to take you, if you're walking it might take you 15 minutes to walk from one terminal to the next. If you're riding the little train they had, it might take you 5 or 6 minutes on the train. So if they're changing this flight 3 times, that gets frustrating, especially if you don't know your way around the airport. So there was someone who was scheduled to be on a flight, and apparently he was upset. So when he finally gets to the correct gate, he he walks up to the agent and says, "Is this the flight? Is this the gate where this flight is going out of?" And she says, "Sir, I'm working this flight right here." She pointed to her behind when they have the little on the little what is that called? I can't remember the name of it, but the little sign on the back that says where the flight is going to at that moment. She was like, "Sir, I'm working this flight right here. So if you could just wait over there." So he says, "Stupid bitch." Calls her that in front of everybody, and in fact called her that in front of the captain who was waiting to work the flight that had been jumping around. So then the captain says to the guy, "You will not be on my flight." And that's the end of the story. So at that point, the person who called her out of her name, the agent out of her name, now he wants to, well, can we do something about this? Can we do something about this? No, there's nothing that can be done because the captain, that's his aircraft. He's in control of the aircraft. And if he says you can't get on, you can't get on. And so protocol says that a supervisor should come to the scene so that a supervisor can document, I guess. I don't know what that protocol is, but I know protocol is they show up and document or talk to the passenger, like just to let them know it's been officially done that you won't be on the flight. So this particular agent supervisor who shows up, she starts asking the captain, well, if he apologizes, can he get on the flight? And this passenger's girlfriend starts crying, and they all start talking about, oh, we really need to be on this flight. We're so sorry. Well, first of all, if you really needed to be on that flight, guess what? You should have thought about that before you called the agent a stupid bitch. That's number one. Number two is the person that he called the name had already left to go work another flight because they just bounce around because, schedules don't necessarily stay at the same gate every time. You might be over there, over here, up there, down there. So they move you around. So if he really wanted to give a sincere apology, the person he was supposed to be giving it to no longer was there. And so the agent supervisor is like becoming his proxy and trying to ask the captain, well, if he apologizes, and I'm like, okay, this is why people misbehave, because they're not held accountable for their behavior in the moment. And if you would just, it was already decided, agent, just come tell the man you won't be getting on the flight. Now, whether that meant he wasn't getting on that flight none today, or whether he's got to come back tomorrow, or whether he's got to wait a couple of hours for the next flight going his way, however that looked, you won't be getting on this flight. But she was such a she has no backbone, in my opinion, and ended up begging this man to get back on the flight, begging for him to get back on the flight. And it's like, lady, would you be feeling that way if he called you a stupid bitch? Would that be okay if he could do that, call you names, call your mama that, call your daughter that, whoever, and then end up still going where he wanted to go? People don't put themselves in the position of another person. They don't have empathy. That's what empathy means, putting yourself in a position of another person. And so it ended up that this person, the customer, and his Becky tear crying girlfriend ended up getting on the flight. And I wrote a letter just to the administration or the supervisors, just saying how I thought that was the wrong move, and that was why they were having such trouble with people not respecting the decisions and not respecting our employees. Because when they do disrespect employees, they're not held accountable. And so I never heard anything back from it. But had he said that to me, he would not have been on that flight. And so, and the captain, thankfully realized that and told the guy he couldn't get on, and then came back around. And because this agent supervisor was such not someone, she acquiesced to the customer instead of making them wait a couple of hours or whatever. And so it's just that I'm saying all that to say, in the moment, we have power to make some decisions, but because we don't recognize our power, people will take away your power in the moment. And so back to this guy, this Black man, who now was in a supervisory position and now finds himself suspended because he thought it was better to meet aggression with aggression, and with this woman, and then in the end ends up in a fight with a woman. So that makes him look so terrible. And other men were coming out of the woodwork to defend this woman who did the indefensible of slapping him and sucker slapping him, and at that, when she thought she could get away with it. And so I would just say that we want to hold people to standards of a society standards of being doing certain things or behaving a certain way, but we don't hold other people to those same standards. And if you are in a position of power, or you just have a position and someone challenges you in that moment, just realize that they could be trying to take away your power by throwing you off your game and getting you to act out of character. And therefore, the people who put you in that position will say, this person can't even handle this, and therefore we're going to remove him from that position. And I just my heart goes out to the guy, because he did, get slapped. And again, I don't know why they were arguing, but it didn't even have to go there. Because if you tell somebody something, especially at the airport, they already went through security. So it's less likely that they have any type of weapon. And all she could do was scream and holler. And when she started screaming and hollering, after I told her and explained to her the position that had been decided, all there would have been to do would be to just walk away and call security to come and get her. And that would have been the end of story. And you would have still had your job, and life would have gone on. So that's what I want us to remember. Remember your power. And in that moment, use your power to your advantage. To find out more about the things that I care about, go to the written version of my journal. That's at eurweb.com. Thanks, and have a super day.